Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our webinar. This is the first one of these webinars we're going to be doing that we're calling the Lunch Bytes webinar series. So first of all, welcome to everybody. It's an absolutely full house, so it's completely sold out. There's not the standing room only in the bleachers, and maybe some cheap seats in the back. So I'm looking forward. It's going to be an exciting webinar. I also want to extend a welcome to Parallels, one of XenTegra's huge partners, and something that we're very excited about to enter this webinar series with Parallels. As you may or may not know, Parallels has a really unique approach to the whole digital workspaces, modern workspaces. So I'm excited to be joined by Dennis and Paul from the Parallels team today. They'll get their 2 minutes of spotlight here in a couple minutes once I've finished to introduce themselves. But it's really going to be a very compelling session. I'll leave it at that. Once we kind of wind down the webinar here towards the top of noontime my time, it's we're going to be giving out the Uber Eats gift cards. Just a friendly reminder, these gift cards are for only attendees who are based in Canada. That was made pretty clear when we were doing the sign-up process, so we can hand those out shortly after the webinar wraps up here. So with that, let's get on to what we're here for. I'm going to go through the overall agenda, what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to kick things off real quick, go over about the tell the XenTegra story, who we are, what we do, where we came from. So really, the genesis of the company and what we offer at the marketplace today. From there, we're going to turn over to Dennis at the Parallels team. He's going to give us kind of the soup to nuts overview of Parallels as a company, the products that they offer, and maybe a little bit of a touch on some of the DAS products that we're used to. DAS is probably the wrong word here. And then we're going to turn it over to Paul, who's based in the UK, for what I'm calling the good stuff. And for me, being a technology geek, the good stuff is always, boots on the ground, hands on keyboards, where Paul's going to walk us through an interactive demo of the Parallels product. So it's going to be a quick hour. Time's going to fly. So let's get rolling. And we'll get on with. I'll tell you a bit about XenTegra. So this slide here, this is the essence of what XenTegra is. We have experience, we have expertise, and we have the key partnerships to make any digital workspace or digital transformation successful. And we also have the partnerships, and that's where partners like Parallels come into play, where they bring these phenomenal solutions that allow partners such as XenTegra to offer that end-to-end support for everything related to that digital workspace that more and more companies are turning to, kind of looking in the rear view of COVID. So it's very exciting. A little bit about me. So my name is Barry Brown. I'm the VP of Sales and Services for XenTegra Canada. I don't have as many wrinkles as I do now in that picture. I look like a younger man there, but I've been in the industry just over 25 years. And I'm responsible for all sales and technical services for XenTegra Canada. Relatively new to the role, joined about 13 months. Before that, I was director of IT for a large contact center in Eastern Canada. So for the technical folks on the call, I've been in your shoes. I know it keeps you up at night, and so it's very different being on this side of the house. So don't let the title fool you. Sales kind of is in my title, but I'm definitely a geek at heart, a bit of a propeller head. I'm a VMware vExpert, IGL VIP. I have a couple of VCP certifications and a Citrix certification, so I can talk and walk to walk, both from a sales and technical perspective. So a bit about me. Let's move on to a bit about XenTegra itself. So at our core, we're a traditional VAR. There's no doubt about it. So we're a value-added reseller. But how we like to differentiate ourselves is what we call VAR 2.0. So what does that mean? So anybody can sell products. That's kind of table stakes for a VAR these days, but our products are always backed by a team of technical experts, staff to architect, implement, and support the products we sell. And this is including Parallels. So all of my team, all of the technical team here are certified in the Parallel products, certified to implement, architect, sell, and support. Our consulting team, absolutely the best in the business. As I mentioned, I was a director of an internal IT team, and I've seen my fair share of consulting services come and go. And a little bit biased now, but certainly the XenTegra team is one of the best consulting services partners available on the market today. When I meet with customers on a regular basis, I often have conversations about, what does XenTegra do? What do we offer? The one thing that they never really know we do, which is kind of raises my eyebrows a little bit, is is we do managed services. So managed services from a XenTegra perspective, that means we become essentially, your tier 1, tier 2, and sometimes tier 3 service desk. So we take on that support for your Parallels workloads, for your VM workloads, you name it, and we can take it on and ease that burden on your frontline team. Something we also do that's becoming more and more well known is we offer complimentary assessments. So again, what does that mean? That means somebody on my team, one of my solution architects, one of my engineers will work with your team for 3-4 hours on a given solution. Pick the solution. We essentially offer assessments for, I want to say 7, 8, 9 products now. So we'll work with your engineers. We'll do a complimentary, 100% free. We'll go kind of run do some tests on your environment, and essentially we output what's a SWOT analysis. So that kind of gives us the good, the bad, and the ugly of your environment, both from a usability, a security perspective, patching, that kind of thing. So our customers take huge value away from those assessments, and it's not a huge time commitment. So I encourage any of you, if you have an environment you're not sure about, following best practices, I encourage you to reach out, and we'll be happy to assist with that. So XenTegra is actually made up of a number of companies. The top one being near and dear to my heart, which is XenTegra Canada. We also have XenTegra India, XenTegra Gov, which focuses on SLED Fed in the US. XenTegra One, they focused on the SMB space, also based in the US, and of course XenTegra MSP, which kind of goes across the portfolio of the XenTegra companies, India, Canada, and United States. So we can have that. Follow the support model. So the actual people at XenTegra, which is kind of the important piece of any business. So we have over 100 technical specialists, and I don't just put technical specialists here, just for an impressive number. These guys are actually have been recruited from the field. They're trained, certified on all the solutions we provide support for, the solutions that we can sell. So like these guys are really professionals in the spaces that they do. This slide might be a little bit outdated because here it's saying we have 30 vendor partners. I suspect that number is much higher. I want to say that's probably closer to 50 now. So if there's a technology solution out there that's in your data center on your desktops, chances are XenTegra has a partnership to support that. And the 350 customers, I know this is outdated because this was the same number when I joined about a year ago. And I know we've onboarded many more customers than that. And XenTegra we just celebrated our 12th birthday, so happy birthday to us. So we're almost a teenager, and I'm proud to say in the 14 or 12 years that we've been around, we've actually put a huge dent in what it means to be a VAR in the space. We've certainly we're leading the charge in true value-added reselling. So we're not the oldest company in the world, but we certainly have some accolades to kind of brag about in terms of what we've accomplished over the last 12 years. And some of these are legitimate, real deal awards. Citrix Worldwide Partner of the Year in 2019. When you think about it, that's 7 years after we were founded. We've got that. Agile Partner of the Year, Nutanix Cloud Champion. And I fully expect when I do this presentation this time next year that we're Parallels Partner of the Year. So hint, Dennis and Paul, we're coming for it. So the guy on the left here is Andy Whiteside. Andy came from Citrix probably, I guess, 2011 before he started XenTegra in 2012. And the reason he left was he didn't feel there was value being added to the VAR relationship that, not just Citrix, but the VAR relationship between a customer and a vendor just wasn't there. So Andy invented what he was, the VAR 2.0 concept. And what he says here is simple. It's born of the need for customer enablement and true partnership. And if you ever meet Andy, he's super passionate about community, super passionate about being true partners. And that's really our go-to-market is we really we treat people like people is the best way to say it. So I encourage you, if you do have a chance, talk to Andy for 5-10 minutes. Super passionate guy, and he'll make you a believer in VAR 2.0. That's for sure. So this slide is actually one of my favorites. It's super simple, but it simplifies what XenTegra does in a couple of buckets. We offer solutions, we offer services, and we are a reseller of products. And the last one, not as important. The first two are simply because that's where you build those relationships. You work with customers to discover their environment, discover their pain points, and implement those solutions that meet the customer's need while leveraging the XenTegra services. So we have done some projects where we've implemented Parallels for a couple of customers, and so reseller was the product, services was the really smart people in consulting services, and the solution was working with the Parallels team to actually build out that ecosystem and that digital workspace that the customer needed. So there's the XenTegra stack. If you know anything about XenTegra, we were kind of born into the EUC space. That really is still our superpower. Over the last kind of 2-3 years, we've kind of branched out, I won't say a little bit, but a whole lot away from EUC. Still our focus, absolutely. But now we are certainly addressing the cloud networking and security space. So we are partners with both Azure, AWS, GCP. From a networking perspective, we partner with all the big boys you would expect, NetScaler, F5, Cisco. And the last 18 months, we actually started up our own security practice. We hired a gentleman named Aaron Banner, who came from, Aaron's going to kill me, but I want to say the Army, where he ran the security practice internally for the U.S. Army. So that's a growing piece of our business. Some of our partners, we've kind of touched on this very, very briefly. There should be a lot more logos on here, but I want to get on with finishing my presentation. If I can turn it over to Paul and Dennis, what you guys are really here for. But some of our partners here, Fortinet, ServiceNow, VMware, Cisco, Island, all fantastic solutions, and many of these will integrate directly with the Parallels products that we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. So the real takeaway from this slide is real world experience. All the technical people on the XenTegra team have been in your shoes. They've all been recruited from the field, from various roles. So IT directors, IT managers, system administrators, security, cyber operations. We really believe in investing in our people so we can provide that expertise back to our customer base. What does that mean? Why do we do that? So, and on the right side of the slide here, it's going to ultimately deliver the best user experience possible for your customers, which are your internal employees. And what they say, happy wife, happy life. Well, happy users, happy IT guys. So this is XenTegra value add. So this is really the bread and butter of the 2.0 VAR model we're going to market with. The complementary assessments we talked about really quickly. I encourage everybody to take advantage of these. It's a free, no-brainer, in my opinion, use of time. You get top-level experts who analyze your environment and tell you what you're doing well and what you're doing not so well. And it's really there's no commitment. Shake hands, walk away if we determine there's no business to be done. But it's an exercise worth undertaking. We also offer a ton of webinars such as these. I think when I looked at the calendar, I think we have something every second day. And if you want to be curious about what other events we're putting on, just go to XenTegra.com/events, and you'll see there's just an absolute ton of them. We also do hands-on workshops, and we are actually planning one with the Parallels team. So once you see the product today, you're going to understand kind of the nuts and bolts of what Parallels is, how it works, and maybe, I know I'm certainly a hands-on learner, so if you want to get hands-on keyboards, I encourage you to sign up for one of our hands-on workshops. We do those depending on the partner, so every couple of weeks, every month. But watch this space for the Parallels workshop that we're currently planning. And we also do a ton of podcasts. So if you like the sound of my voice, sign up for some of our podcasts because I'm on a few of them. But we do podcasts for iGel, Citrix, VMware. I first to announce this, I guess, publicly is there is a podcast for Parallels coming. So if you're interested in hearing about that, keep an eye on your Apple podcast or your podcast platform of choice, and you'll see the Parallels podcast coming down soon. Something we already do, which is we reinvest in our customer community, our partner community. So we offer 90% off conference passes for some of the main conferences out there. So I think things like VMworld or VMware Explorer, I guess it's called now, the old Citrix Synergy, RIP for that, AWS reInvent, and at the upcoming iGel Disrupt conference. So 90% off. And the reason it's 90% off, I think there's some kind of tax reason that we can't do 100%. So if you're interested in attending any upcoming conferences, I encourage you to reach out. I'll put my contact information in the chat here once I've wrapped up, and we can have those discussions. Okay, some quick housekeeping items before I turn it over to Dennis and Paul and the Parallels team. If you have any questions as Paul and Dennis go through the content, please use the Q&A in the chat. I'm going to kind of turn away from being a presenter to a moderator, and I'll kind of interrupt Dennis and Paul strategically when there's questions. The gift cards are going to be sent out shortly after the presentation, as mentioned at the top. So happy eating, fill your bellies. I hope the food is good wherever you decide to order from. And I think that's it from the XenTegra side of the house. So with that, I think, Dennis, I'll turn it over to you if you're ready to rock and roll.
I am. Thank you.
Right. I'm going to stop sharing so you can share.
There we go.
Perfect.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. It's a tough position for Paul and I to be between you and lunch, so we'll make this very, very informative. And also, as Barry has mentioned, let's keep this interactive. So use the chat feature if you do have questions, and there always are questions that come up when we're presenting to a new audience. So first, I'd like to just say thank you to the XenTegra team for our partnership. XenTegra has been all in with our partnership as we have been with XenTegra, but I will say this is one of the fastest adoptions of the technology that I've seen. So when Barry was mentioning how XenTegra has built their organization, that they are a machine. So they have assimilated our solution set very rapidly. They've got over 20 technical certifications for our solution set. So they are armed and ready. So I would encourage you to take Barry up on the offer for complimentary assessments to get in and to look at your environment as well. With our technology or any technology that they do represent, they do an outstanding job of getting in and understanding it and creating value in terms of solutions that are right for your business and your pain. So a little bit about what I'm going to speak to today is going to get you educated about who we are, what Parallels is, where we've been. You know, many of you may say, you know, I know Parallels, and we get that a lot. I know Parallels. So let me just give you Parallels in a nutshell. We're a virtualization company. We started this well over 25 years ago. We started with a desktop product, right? So when the concept that when Apple moved away from the Motorola chipset into Intel, it opened an opportunity for us to create a virtualized solution of running a Windows instance on a Mac. So it's called a tier 1 hypervisor. So we started, in that environment. So our heritage, our lineage is all around the virtualization of applications and or the virtualization of working environments or operating systems. That evolved to the next generation as client server became a very Microsoft client server, that is, became a very dominant force in terms of enterprise computing. We acquired a little product called 2X. 2X then became Parallels Remote Application Server. So again, a very eloquent solution that sits on top of the Microsoft Server architecture, RDS architecture, and enables that visualization and the user experience that we're very well known for to people who need access to clients and Windows solution sets. But as we continue to grow, this is the other thing that's important to know about Parallels and evolve. As the market evolves, we have other solutions within the virtualization space. So again, please think of us, from that virtualization set of tools and solutions. We have a desktop as a service solution. This is a great solution for small organizations that need to get up and running. They may have a thin layer of IT support and help. They might be just doing a proof of concepts, right? They need to be able to have quick, easy access to data and to collaborate across a particular opportunity. And I do not know why this continues to advance on us, so my apologies. Also, we have a secure workspace and solution set. So again, completely based on web browsing capabilities of our solution set. So no longer client server, no longer individual, but cloud-based workspace solutions. And soon to come out is a complete browser, or what we call browser isolation solution, or parallels browser isolation solution. So isolating that internet traffic and again, creating a very secure solution from any device anywhere through a browser connection. So a little bit about us. Again, we are global. So we've been around for a number of years, like I said, with the desktop product. And as we've continued to evolve, we've sold all of these solutions into a global enterprises, governments, and to individuals as well. So a lot of B2C customers, many thousands of B2B customers, and again, all predicated on virtualization on any device, anywhere. Okay, finally, we get to this side. So who are we? Well, I think if you just look at the accreditation of where we play, who we're partnered with, and where our solutions get rated. As you can see on the left, my left, probably your as well here with IDC, you know, the most recent iteration of this. We keep moving up and to the right. In this instance, it's Alludo. So I'll take a pause there and let you know too. You will see the Alludo brand name. Alludo is our parent company. So within that parent company, we have Parallels. We lead with Parallels, but we are enabled by or powered by Alludo. So in this instance, you can see where we are moving up and to the right. And we consistently have moved year after year up and to the right into the big boys, if you will. And why is that? Because we continue to invest, right? Many of our partners, like XenTegra, open the opportunities for us to get into customer situations where there's a need for support of a particular feature. There's a particular printer, there's a particular device or configuration of devices that need to be supported. And we are very proactive in working with our customers through our partners to create those solutions. And that is a large part why we continue to scale up and why we continue to scale out. So as I talked about, right, moving from a single instance to client server to cloud-based to the whole remote browser isolation components. As we've evolved this solution set, we continue to move up and to the right in terms of our virtualization offerings. And again, within the ecosystem of partners, you can see it there. We're very open to partnering across the board and creating valued solutions with and through our alliance partners. And then through customers and third-party organizations have rated us very highly as well. So when you look at the product, it's not only technically capable, but as you look at how you implement, design, support, and train on it, it's also very eloquent as well. And here's why it's eloquent. It's a simple and flexible, as well as a very scalable architecture. It doesn't matter what the user is using to get to your solutions or to your apps or to their desktops, whether it's a browser or a Parallels client or even a thin client as well. So the Parallels RAS as a stack is built as a single stack of solutions, all integrated under a single license. So what does that mean to you? It's like you don't have a cacophony of things to manage or licenses to manage or user counts as well, because we base everything on concurrent licensing. Additionally, as we look at how we built the solution, and this is specific to RAS, we built it to be a hybrid-based solution. So whether you need a simple solution that scales on your premise, or you have to integrate it into a data center where other components of your architecture already reside, or if you're doing something in the public cloud, think Azure or AWS, we integrate with all of those. So you can do simple on-premise solution set or a hybrid solution set based on wherever your infrastructure or your needs are located. So why us? Again, it's kind of an iteration of what we just went through, but you will see, Paul will demonstrate the ease of use and the simplicity. So virtualization has been around like us for years. So there's nothing new here to this, to the secret sauce. But what we have done is to make it very simple for you as an IT support organization to design, to deploy it, to support it, and to train on it. So that we use those tenets in terms of our design elements to every element that of the product that's there, whether it's the management user interface, whether it's the actual client user interface, how you access the technologies is simple. That doesn't mean it's can't go deep. It doesn't mean it can't be as complex as some of the environments that you may be using in other solutions. It's just that we've made it simple and intuitive to use, and we've done so across a consistent platform. So we haven't glued things together, components together, which is why, again, we're flexible, right? That whole flexibility that we have, because we're in a single architecture and a single solution set. When you look at that, that means, access anywhere is the other component here. We really have been trying to stay ahead of the curve in terms of how end using computing has evolved to be more browser-based, more cloud-based, more easy access on any device, whether it's a personal device or a company device. And we've made it secure. So all of that wraps up to the centerpiece around the TCO. If you make it simple to use, design, deploy, and support, and people can use it without needing a lot of help, we really reduce the overall total cost of ownership. And in also doing, we simplify it by making it under a single license that is concurrent in nature. So here's just some simple models that we've built in terms of us, again, versus the other guys. Again, it's a single license, concurrent users, and that includes our 24/7 support. And when you look across, again, the complexity, how we help reduce that complexity on all of these administrative tasks, needing a simple solution of managing it through a single console or a multitude of different tools that are all interacted or interspersed together, conglomerated together over acquisitions. We make it as simple as possible because you're doing so from a single user interface. So with that, I don't know, Barry, if we have any questions at this point, but this is a time where I'll turn it over to Paul. And Paul, you can pick it up here from an overall demo.
There is one question, Dennis, about the browser isolation product. You mentioned, is it GA? It's publicly available to purchase today?
It is not available. The launch will be coming later in March. The time frame is where we're at right now. We do have it in the hands of partners, so that we've had, and XenTegra has certainly been at the forefront with us on this product and its development, its launch as well, but it is not GA. It will be GA in the next month or so.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Paul, I will turn this over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Dennis. Hi, hello, everybody. Yeah, my name is Paul Fisher. As you can see, I'm based out of the UK. I'm a pre-sales engineer for Parallels. I think I've been here over 6 years now. But yeah, I think it's my job to basically show you a lot of what Dennis has talked about. So what I normally do is start from a client perspective and show a couple of ways in which users can connect. A couple of options there. It could be down to user preferences or maybe admin preferences. And then I'll open up the admin console and we'll just go around and just look at some of those features in there and just, again, just show some of the things that Dennis has been talking about. Yeah, let's start. This is the web client. I suppose the nice thing about the web client is it's really simple for users. They can just point their favorite browser at a URL and then log in, and I'll show you that of course in a second, but from there they can access their applications or desktops. We do have what we call a Parallels client, and this is the Windows version, but we do have a Mac version which looks almost identical. There's Linux, Android, iOS, Chromebook, so they're kind of clients that are available off of various app stores to download free of charge, of course, but they can be downloaded and used. But yeah, let's start with the web client, and we'll throw in my demo account. So obviously, being a demo account, I've assigned it absolutely everything in my lab here, which is built and running out of Azure. So I've got lots of different desktop types, and this really just sort of starts to highlight some of the flexibility. So, essentially, we can deploy the right technology to the users. Not necessarily forcing virtual desktops on everyone because a few users might need them. So we can really take a step back and say, okay, we've got these task-based users. The most cost-effective way of delivering the desktop to them will be off a session-based, a multi-session environment, and we can support lots of different operating systems from Server 2012 actually all the way through to Server 2022. So yeah, I've just got different versions of those, but we've also got virtual desktops with that one-to-one relationship there in Windows 10, Windows 11. We've got some GPU-enabled desktops, so we can support those as well. And we could call this a cloud desktop. In particular, it's Azure Virtual Desktop. And as we get into the admin console, I'll kind of show you that the hybrid management that Dennis was talking about as well. So we can deploy desktops. And we can deploy applications. So this could be a bit of a choice for the users. If it's just a few applications that we want to present, then it makes sense really just to deploy those applications. But we can do desktops as well. And I say it's an admin or a user choice. But I'll start with an application. So I'll launch my favorite in these demos. Of course, we can support Office 365, but just easier on the licensing front here. So let's discard that. So yeah, we can see the application is loaded. It's completely within the browser. I'm just going to create another document. And I can click on my start menu. I can click around, look around for the next application I might want, or if I can't find it, I can use the search facility. And then again, I can launch that application there. And the reason for doing that is just to show you we've got a taskbar here as well, so we can switch between different applications, different documents maybe that we've got open. If we've got multiple documents, they stack, just like Windows does. That's the same across all the different clients. So even if you're connecting from a smaller form factor iPhone or Android phone, the ability to switch between different applications, different desktops is there. And we bring other features with those mobile clients, such as biometric support, pinch and zoom, et cetera, just sets of tools there to make those smaller devices usable. Of course, we can launch full desktops as well. So if I go back to my desktops menu and launch this desktop, and again, we can see it's in the browser. It's open this time in a new tab. And we've kind of just used the available area. We can do things like go full screen. I could upload and download documents. There's some keyboard shortcuts, some clipboard support there, and some information on the connection. Now, just while I find some text to copy on my other screen, the question we quite often get at this point is, can we control those, the ability for users to copy data in and out, files in and out? And the short answer is yes, absolutely. We have something called RAS profiles, which I'll touch a bit more on in the console shortly. But yeah, they allow us to control all of these elements, so we can really tie down that from the security point of view. But if I just open a notepad, what I've done on my other screen, I've just found some text, and I'm just going to go Control V over here. So it's basically just demonstrating the clipboard redirection. So we've got bidirectional clipboard redirection. There's bidirectional audio support as well, universal printing through the browser. So all those things can be managed through the browser here, or used through the browser here. And sometimes that might be a question of, I've got a video camera that I want to redirect, or a scanner or a smart card, and that might be a reason then to use the Parallels client. So bringing that up, we can see the same desktops that are available to me. So it's connected to the same environment, same applications. Of course, I could just launch them directly from here. But we could also create shortcuts on the desktop. So there's a couple of things there. I can add them to the favorites as well, and they can just be listed in my favorites. But I could say create shortcut on my desktop, something that I've already done. So there's Notepad++, and I've done it with some desktop icons as well. In addition to that, all the applications are sort of put into the start menu of Windows here, and the same in the Mac in the Finder. So LibreOffice isn't installed locally on my PC here. It's a RAS published application, and I could just launch it directly from there. So yeah, users don't necessarily then have to open a website. They don't have to open another application. They can just see their icon on the desktop in the start menu and launch it. So that's an example of what I mean by it could be your preference that, yeah, that's how I want my users to work, because I think that'll work best for them. It's just very similar to how they work today. And yeah, so yeah, it's basically it's connected there, but it's so cursor of the demo, it's decided to stick on my other monitor. So let me just try and open that again. That's typical. So I'm going to try and just switch to my other screen real quick. Let me see if I'm quick enough to do that. So new share, the screen. There we go. Okay, so yeah, you can see that Notepad is open there, hopefully, if I shared that correctly. Yeah, you can just about make out, it might be a little bit small for you, but there's a little Parallels logo in the application. So the application's running in the taskbar alongside the others. And yeah, it looks and feels like it's a local application, but it's published through RAS. I could have opened it slightly differently. So I've got this text file sitting on my desktop. I've made a special text file. It's a .ras txt file. So that's a file sitting on my desktop. I could have just chosen as a user to double click on that file. And that would have gone, okay, I need to open Notepad++ through RAS. I'll do that. And then it actually opened the file for editing. Alternatively, I can drag and drop this file onto Notepad, and that will open it for editing as well. So there we go. It's not a very big file, but you can kind of get the idea. And hopefully, again, that's not too small for you to read. And just to finish off, I will open the full desktop. Now we can open this in a few ways. You can see, well, you can see first that it's brought over the session that I had in the browser. So that could have been a scenario of I've been working in the office and then I've gone home. I want to carry on working, so I've connected, and I'm connected back to exactly the same desktop, exactly where I left off. So that's what we call session roaming. But yes, we could open this in a few different ways. I've opened it full screen but windowed, which is kind of why you can see two start bars. We can open it across all the monitors. We can actually choose. Yeah, we've got 4 monitors, but I just want to open it on 1 and 2. So we can do things like that. But when it's windowed like this, I'm able to resize it, so I could take it and snap it to the side of a desktop and have another desktop side by side. Perhaps it's kind of quite good for developers. And what you'll notice is it's let's bring this text back up. As I resize it, it's not making the image smaller and therefore maybe the text more difficult to read. It's actually updating the resolution properly, so the text and things are still readable. Other than that, this is very sort of generic Windows 10 looking desktop, but these apps that we have in the start menu are quite special. They're managed via RAS, and I'll come back to this and do a little demonstration of that as we go through. So yeah, let me
Paul,
Now,
there's a couple of
yep,
questions that I would love to chime in if you're okay
of
with
course.
me breaking your
Yeah,
flow a little bit.
no,
One
go
is
ahead.
the actual application, the thick applications that are available. You mentioned the big guys like the Windows, Mac, Linux. What about iGel OS? Is there integration with iGel OS?
Yes, the iGel, basically the client comes in the iGel OS. And I think now there's a new Cosmos app store, isn't there? And I think actually not a few weeks ago now, our client is now available in that store as well. So you can add it very simply to the iGel OS. Yeah.
Okay. And the second question is, maybe you're going to cover it in a couple of minutes, that, where security is so important for every company today, in terms of integration with MFA providers, other IDPs. I'd love to understand a bit more about what the options are.
Yeah, I mean, that's good timing. I've just got the admin console up. We've actually got, we do have one console, but we've got two versions of it. Let's say we've got a web-based one and an application-based one. The web-based one is on a path to be sort of fully featured, but it's not there yet. It's kind of a lower priority, and we add a bit to it on each release. The application-based one is where we can manage everything from, and that includes Azure Virtual Desktop, and that's why I've brought that one up today. So yeah, one console, but two versions. But MFA, yeah, I can jump straight to that. We can support it in a number of different ways, actually. We can support standard or integrate with anything that's got a radius-based solution involved. Also, we can support TOTP, and that's really probably the simplest and most cost-effective way of providing 2FA. Or we can use the SAML integration that we've got, and here is an example of connecting to Azure to use the Microsoft authentication. And there's that's very powerful, actually. We can, if we get into kind of a managed service type scenario, we can just create a service for customers, but allow them to manage their own credentials and log in with their own credentials. And we can have multiple IDPs listed there. And because we've got the ability to theme, which is essentially white labeling or making it look and feel like the customer's logo and colors and things like that, we can assign those multi-factor authentications to each theme. So we've got that full multi-tenant architecture as well. But if I go to Farm here and click on a site, this is just basically an overview of a particular site. We can have multiple sites under a farm, so there could be multiple on-premises data centers. There could be one that's on-premises, one in the cloud, perhaps. That just opens up multiple different options, maybe DR options, etc., etc. But yeah, looking at this site, we can just get a bit of a view, a snapshot of now of things like the infrastructure servers, so the connection brokers and the secure gateways. The secure gateways provide the web client that we saw, so it's hosting that website, for the web client, and also it's just responsible for securing any connection. So connections are always over a secure port. Typically that's 443, but it could be anything. We can manage the certificates, which is kind of done in this section. And we can create certificates using Let's Encrypt as well, and we can have multiple certificates, multiple FQDNs for that multi-tenant architecture and things like that. And then we can also see the connection brokers here, and we get a sense of how busy they are. The connection brokers really is the core role within the solution. So it's responsible for initial authentication, two-factor authentication as well. We can do what we call RAS filtering, so zero trust capabilities. So we can look at who the user is, AD group membership, but also things like what device they're connecting from. There's a number of metrics we can look at there, maybe what route they've taken to connect. So building up those rules just allows us to say, okay, if this user connects from this location and this trusted device, now they can launch this application or this desktop. So we're starting to build up that kind of security level and options around that. Then other than that, the connection brokers, all the config that you see here, it's all stored there, and that's their primary role, I suppose. Other than that, what it says on the tin almost, that when a user requests a connection, we do that load balancing, which is the least busy server available. Okay, we'll send you over there. But yeah, if I come down to providers I describe as links to various platforms. And if I bring up this new, sort of add new menu, the top ones are on-premises, really, and various platforms here, or hypervisors, so we can support VMware, Hyper-V, Nutanix, and Scale. And then down at the bottom, we've got the cloud options. So the top one, Microsoft Azure and AWS, and also AVD at the bottom. Now, we quite often get asked at this point, what's the difference between Microsoft Azure and AVD? Isn't that the same thing? Pretty much. Essentially, we had support for Azure Direct, Azure Infrastructure, whatever we want to kind of call it, before AVD came out, and then there's a whole new set of APIs for us to integrate with. So of course we went and did that as well. It's still useful, actually. I think there still are regions without AVD. So customers can still deploy in those regions as well with RAS. So yeah, once we got those links, and you can see I've got a couple here. So Microsoft Azure or Hypervisor, Azure Hypervisor I've called it, and then an AVD link. Then we can start to get into all the the cool management of desktops and auto scaling and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this AVD section. I'm going to talk through some of the features in here, but really what I want to try and make sure that you take away from this, and one of the main goals of RAS is to provide this management layer from a single console on top of lots of different platforms that I just mentioned. And really, administrators of RAS learn RAS, and we've got free training available and things like that. They don't necessarily have to go and learn all these different platforms. So they might know Hyper-V a little bit, but if we want to switch to VMware, or if you want to move into the cloud, let's say Azure, you can first log into there, and there's a whole load of learning that you need to do to understand where you get started. So yeah, we want to provide this management layer on top, that once you learn RAS, it really doesn't matter where you're deploying, whether it's on-prem or whether it's in cloud platforms. So me talking about AVD, these features, like 99% of the features, apply to VMware on-premise as well. So if I was starting afresh with AVD, I would come and bring up the wizard, give it a name, and step through the wizard, and that essentially goes through these tabs. So it will then create the workspace for us. Next step would be create a host pool. From there, we'd be looking to create a template. If I bring that part of the wizard up, we can choose it multi-session or single session. I can choose an existing virtual machine that I got there. Perhaps I want to use that as my template, or I could just head over to the Azure gallery and say, yeah, we'll start with a nice, clean, fresh Windows 11 multi-session with the Office 365 apps on already, perhaps, and that can become the basis of our template. Once you finish that wizard, you obviously have a template there. From there, we create the clones, create the copies of that. We can manage those copies, and these are ultimately what users connect to. So we can just do things like enable, disable, start, stop, restart. There's some additional tools as well, so I could connect to the service management, restart services remotely, run PowerShell commands on there. We can see any sessions. I'll talk a little bit more about sessions in a second. But if I come back to initially templates and just right click on here, there's a couple of options just worth noting. Maintenance mode, so we put it into maintenance mode, and basically that powers it on and allows us then to make any changes to that template. And once it's in maintenance mode, we can connect to it directly from this console. We don't have to hop off anywhere else. We can then make any changes, add new applications maybe, bring it out of maintenance mode, and at that point we can create a version. So we can have multiple versions of a template, and that, so using the tagging system that I don't have assigned here, but you can use. We can just get into scenarios of, okay, so we made an update. We'll tag that as pre-production. That'll roll out to our pre-production host pool. Perhaps we can obviously do some testing, and once we're happy with that version, we can say, okay, that's now for production, and that can automatically roll out, or we can schedule it to roll out to the production pool. So it just gives us, really good management over those templates. And I suppose what's while that's good rolling out, the other big advantage is we can roll back just as quickly. So we can roll back to the previous version just as easily as well. And if I open up the host pool, a couple of things to note in here. The first one being auto scaling. And I suppose auto scaling coupled with the scheduler that we've got are just tools that help you better manage your resource, especially in a cloud environment. That becomes even more important because we don't want to just be creating a load of resource and have that running 24/7, that we don't necessarily need. That's just causing additional costs that we've got to pay for essentially. So as I say, yeah, these are a little set of tools to help us better manage that, but always allowing for enough resource when's needed. So part of that is auto scaling, and that quite simply, as users log in, if we need more hosts, we can power them on if they've been created, pre-created. Need even more, we can create more, and that's good. But the other side of that is what can we do? What options have we got there? So when the utilization drops, we can do a few things. We could simply power them off. We could power them off and change the disk type. So we can change it from a premium to a standard, and that can just make that instance, that virtual machine, when it's switched off, more cost effective. Or we could go one step further and delete that instance if we wanted as well. As I say, if we couple that with a scheduler, we can just have the scenarios. Okay, Monday morning, we'll power on 50% of our pool. More users log in, we'll power on more, create more. As utilization drops, we'll do whatever we want to do at that point. We maybe have a schedule later to say, power them all off overnight. If we're lucky enough, that doesn't really happen for all of us, but the capability is there. And then we also have user profile management integration. So, one thing that's quite important with a virtual environment such as this is that we don't want any important data sitting on these virtual desktops, because we want to be able to just trash them and just throw them away, and that means we can update them whenever we want to. So it's important that we've got user profile, roaming profile technology in there, and we integrate in with FS Logics in the main. And with that integration, we can completely deploy FS Logics. So we can, again, checkbox enable FS Logics. And at that point, if we detect that FS Logics is not installed, we'll push out the installer, we'll silently install it in the background. And then based upon what configuration you set in here, we'll go and apply that. So it's very easy to deploy, very easy to keep it very consistent across all the different workloads that you might have. And that's cross-profile on Office containers, in case anyone asks there. So you can start to see we're bringing together, predominantly Microsoft technology, but bringing it into one location, one console, and making it easier to manage and deploy. So as I said, if we were looking at managing VDIs, we've got host pools, we've got the hosts, we've got the templates. We've got the same kind of management over those hosts. We can see the sessions. We've got the scheduler and auto scaling capabilities on the templates and the host pools. If we come into the RD session hosts, and again, this could be with Hyper-V or Nutanix, all looks and managed the same way. We can see the hosts. We can see the host pools. We've got the templates again, session, scheduler. And again, if we come to the host pools, we've got the same auto scaling, exactly the same auto scaling settings, user profile management again. And something that I didn't mention or click on is the application packages. So this is, integration again of another Microsoft technology and bringing it under control of RAS. And it's a technology that's kind of available in AVD. We've made it available to on-premises deployments as well. And what MSIX App Attach is essentially decoupling the application management from the OS. So when I was describing earlier about updating my template and putting new applications on there, that's clearly one way we can do it. But we can do it with this. We can, as I say, take the application management and do that out of that whole template update process. So I don't have to go and find do an update, test it. I don't necessarily have to go then and find a maintenance window to recreate. So what I can do is update an application in a live environment. And to give you a little example of that, if I come back to this desktop and we check out the version of this application, so 2.09, and then I'm going to close the application. Don't necessarily have to close it down. It wouldn't, kill the application for the user while they're using it. It just wait for them to reopen the application essentially. But the key thing is, we're not asking the user to log out. They're happily working away, but the administrator can come remove the older version from the list, find the new version, say OK, click apply. Just give that a few seconds to do its thing. I guess, yeah, let's go over now and come to the start menu. And yes, there we go. I thought it was going to play the fool then, but just need to wait a little bit longer. But if we check out the version, you can see that it's 2.2.0.2. So as I say, live environment, haven't had to kick the user out. They've been happily working away. I've pushed out an application. And of course, on the other side of that, if we pushed out a new application and we're not happy with it, or the users aren't happy with it, we can roll it back just as effectively and just as quickly. Yeah, so that's me rolling it back. So yeah, just checking the time, we're pretty good. So a couple of other things just to look at. Sessions, which I mentioned. So this section here brings together all the sessions that we sort of flick through very quickly in those different sections. And this brings them all together. So we can see the AVD session. We saw got a VDI session and a few session host sessions. We can give this console out to help desk engineers. We can set the permissions so that they can just manage the users and nothing else. So at that point, they could maybe sort by any of these columns. You also filter by any of these columns as well. This is just filtering on my username. And if I find an active session, we can manage the session in terms of log them off. We can remote control them or shadow that session. The administrator or the help desk engineer can interact with the session and help the user out. You can see processes, kill off processes, and I can drill down into that information, which is a bit better formatted, if you like. So just grouping it together in the session detail. Then we can see the route that they've taken to connect. You can see the login duration. So that example earlier, I've sorted by login duration, and maybe it's highlighted that some users have got a slower login. This can then actually break it down into areas that might be affecting that login performance. So just gives the administrator sort of clues for where can we go and look and try and improve this. We also have the user experience evaluator, so we can get a sense of things like the latency, the protocol that they're using to connect, estimated bandwidth. They got a number of reconnects. That's maybe something else we can sort by. Is there any errors associated with that? And so generally, the more information we've got around the user experience, the more proactive we can be around supporting them or improving things like the login duration. This section is where we do the publishing. So you can see the desktops and application folder that we saw from a client perspective. The only thing to just quickly look at here is the filtering. So I mentioned this earlier. This is where we can build the rules. We can say, is it this particular user, or are they connecting through this gateway, so this route? Are they connecting from a particular device? If you use the MAC address, the subnet they're connecting from. So let's say we can build up these rules to say, okay, it's this user from this location, this device, now they can launch this application. And that's essentially where we do that. Publishing new applications is really easy. Just bring up the add menu, and there's various options there. So within a few clicks, you can publish new applications and desktops. And then if I zoom all the way down to policies here, this is what allows us to control the client config. So what I mean by that, if I bring this back over, have a quick look at the properties here. We have all this kind of experience settings, display settings, printing, scanning. You can control all that from these policies server side. So there's two things or two sides of it, I suppose, for me. It could just be general configuration. So we want to set the performance for all my users to be this configuration, and then they can't change it. And that's how we want to set it as an administrator. Or it could be from a security point of view, where we can control things like the clipboard. So we could disable it altogether, or maybe say, we don't mind you copying data in, but we don't want you copying data out. Drive redirection, file transfer, printing, scanning, all of those things, as I say, we can control, and we can build up similar rules to what we saw earlier around that, so we can apply those to those kind of filters. And then last but not least, we have monitoring and reporting. Monitoring looks by default over the last hour. I can change that to any timeline. And it just shows us the number of sessions during that period, and then the utilization of the various servers and desktops in that period as well. And then reporting, this looks more at kind of session activity. When users logged in, how long did they logged in for, how long have they been idle for. This might actually take a few seconds to load, but yeah, there's application usage as well. So we can look at which applications are being used or maybe are not being used. There's some server health reports, user experience evaluator reports, login performance. So going back to that example earlier, we've made some changes around the login performance. We can monitor that over time with this report. Is it actually getting better? Is it still getting worse, etc. And we can create custom reports. So there's a lot of information in this database that's now just about to load, that we can manipulate, make our own reports, export to nice formats, have it schedule email out to management. And this is just a very basic. I was going to make a joke, but it might be very specific to the UK. But it's something I made earlier, and it's just showing the number of users over a period. So yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm probably just about on time there. So that hopefully leaves us a bit of time for any more Q&A.
So there are a couple of questions. I'm not sure entirely who to direct them to, either Dennis or yourself, Paul, but everything we just looked at here, as technical and involved as it is, I just want to clarify, is this all covered under a single license? There's no gold, silver, platinum, or is it strictly you buy RAS and you get everything we just looked at?
Yeah, the short answer is yeah, absolutely. There's one license, and everything that you've seen today is covered under that license. And there's still a fair bit that we've not really talked about. There's some optional things that the monitoring reporting you don't have to use, but yeah, they're all that is covered under the RAS license. Whether you're connecting to the session hosts or virtual desktops, whether that's on-premise to different hypervisors or the cloud platforms, we don't care. It's about number of users that you've got connecting at any one time.
Okay, and it's licensed on named users or concurrent?
Concurrent, yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Well, great. Paul, I can take the screen and I'll bring us home. How's that?
Yep, there we go.
That was excellent. Thank you, Paul.
All right, thank you.
And let's see here. All right, we should be back. Well, so just to iterate again, a lot of what we've already discussed, or what Paul has visually presented to us. So again, with RAS, again, we keep it simple. That's the goal. The whole design philosophies, as we discussed, or Paul presented, there's auto configurations or auto scaling, the ability to integrate with solutions that you may already have, right? So the ability to hook into our solution set if you need to customize things, simple single management console. And again, a very simple solution that allows you to scale up or down as your needs come on any environment. We're secure is the other side of this as well. When you look at SSL, when you look at the ability to leverage current protocols that have been vetted as well, where we sit in the stack and we support that. And then adding that around, we've also gained things like FIPS compliance. So if you work within a finance or healthcare where record management and security of data is tantamount, we're there to help and support you. And again, MFA built in, those external IDPs for single sign-on is there. We're flexible, right? You looked at that hybrid design. Doesn't matter where the loads are. It doesn't matter what hypervisor you're using, right? We're there. We integrate into just about any environment or a multitude of environments. If you're using cloud, you're using premise-based or a data center solutions that are all three. The user experience is very simple. One of the things we didn't really drop into was the mobile apps that we have on iOS and Android, but we built those to create native features for simple things like how you use your mouse on your desktop. You can do so with your fingers on a screen. That also includes features across all clients or abilities, clientless access for drag and drop features as well. That has been a key feature for many of our customers. And last but not least, in terms of user experience, printing. Oh my goodness, I would have thought printing and scanning went away years ago, but it is one of the key elements that customers continue to bring to us, whether it's a thermal printer printing plane tickets at a terminal, or whether it's printing labels for a factory that's labeling devices or cans or bottles or whatever the case may be. But they come up all the time, and we continue to evolve both printers and scanners as that whole segment of the business has changed as well. And last, that TCO, all of those things that we just discussed, the simplification, the flexibility, the security, it leads to the simplicity of how you design, deploy, train, and support the solution set in a one license model, as we've already discussed. It's all based on concurrency. So if you use, if you have 500 users and you only need 100 on a given day, you buy 100 licenses, and you can scale that up as adoption increases. But again, that comes with our 24/7 support with and through our partners XenTegra, so you're never left stranded. And I would encourage you to take a really good look at us, because if you want to reduce the complexity of your infrastructure today to make it simple on things that you've been doing for years, so you can elevate your game to other things, take a look at Parallels and take up XenTegra on their offer to help you in a consultative way. So I'll leave you with this. It's a single licensing model, right? We do things differently here. We reduce that complexity of what, again, there's no premium, platinum, super duper solution set. It's all in one. It's a hybrid by design. So it doesn't matter where your workloads are, we're there to help you and support you across all of them. And that all leads to a lower total cost of ownership. Just a quick quote from one of our partners coming from Brand X. So there's plenty of use cases out there. There's plenty of reference customers as well. It's a daunting task to shift technologies, but as you do so, know that we do have plenty of customers who will stand up and rave about our solution and our capabilities. And I'll leave you with that. Thank you. I want to thank XenTegra. Appreciate you guys and everything you've done in your investments, getting up to speed. And again, I would encourage you all to take a time with XenTegra, book some time and take them up on that consultative initial consulting time to understand your environments, whether you choose our solution or not. XenTegra has been in the virtualization space and the security space for years. They can help you understand what solutions make sense for your business, or to give you a landscape that is constantly in disruption these days, to give you a clarity of thought as to how you migrate through that. So with that, I'll say thank you. Barry, thank you to the team. I'll leave it to you for final thoughts.
Absolutely. So I'm going to follow up with a round of thank yous as well. So first off, thank you to the Parallels team, Dennis, Paul, and Asif, who's the silent Parallels guy on the call, for helping us coordinate this call, set it up, and thank you for everybody who's attended the webinar. Like we were blown away by the amount of interest we saw in the product. So I fully expect, given the interest, we'll be doing this again in the very near future. So thank you to everybody who joined today, even those guys in the cheap seats who may have had the obstructed view down the back because we were so full. And the final thought is, it's just about lunchtime. So in the next little bit, look in your inboxes for your Uber Eats gift cards and enjoy some lunch. On behalf of XenTegra and Parallels, thank you for attending, and we look forward to continuing these conversations. And with that, we'll call this a webinar. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.